Now Milko has done it again. We've listened to you and now available nationwide. Another convenient size packaging of Thunderbolt all-purpose flour. It's here. The 5 kg or 11 pounds new packaging of Thunderbolt all-purpose flour. Now available at your nearest supermarket.
Now Milko, National Milling Company of Guyana.
Looking for quality lumber for your dream home or an upcoming project? Then make Builders Lumberyard your premier provider. We provide a full selection of rough and dress lumber, such as Green Heart, Purple Heart, Kabakali, all types of mixed hardwood, Silver Bali, Ditarma, and many other species. We also stock clean and knotted pine doors in various sizes, Qualable posts, farm boards, plywood, and all types of molding. Orders can be cut to any specification and delivered to your worksite. With over 25 years of experience in the lumber industry, we are determined to provide a quality lumber that meets our home builders and contractors' every need. Builders Lumberyard and you will always be a winning combination. Visit our main office at 12 Lombard and Deroy Street or our branch office at 66 Ben Street, Georgetown, or telephone 225-9530 227-0904.
For more than 3 decades, Dave's West Indian Imports has been supplying the demands of Guyanese living in the USA with their favorite Guyanese products: Pomeroon coconut water, fresh fish, shrimp and crab, champion chow mein, icy sodas, golden cream, margarine, wiri wiri pepper, katahar, and casrib, just to name a few. If you have family from Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, Dave's has them covered too. 9807 97th Avenue, Ozone Park, New York, only 5 minutes away from Liberty Avenue. 11808 Liberty Avenue, Richmond Hill, New York. 7505 New Hampshire Avenue, Tacoma Park, Maryland. The Caribbean market. Dave's West Indian Imports, supplying the best of the Caribbean to the USA.
Craving a meal that's big on flavor but doesn't break the bank? KFC has got you covered with the KFC 3-piece meal deal. Get 3 pieces of chicken, fries, mac and cheese, a biscuit, and a drink, all for just $2,200. It's the perfect deal, available every day. Enjoy your 3-piece meal deal at KFC today. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Well, good evening and welcome to another program of the Sean Devers Sports Watch. It's Tuesday, November 18, and tonight we talk about cricket with the coach, fitness trainer out of the USA, Basil Butcher Jr., and of course the cricket commentator, journalist, and also administrator Vernon Springer out of the Leeward Islands. Tonight's program comes to you with the compliments of Dave's West Indian Imports, KFC, Namilco, Builders Lumberyard, and Survival Supermarket. Of course, tonight we want to say good evening to everyone, wherever you are, whatever you're doing across the 83,000 square miles of Guyana and wherever else you might be listening and looking at this program. Good night to my mom, Juliet Devers Chapwania, and happy belated birthday to my son, Justin Devers, who celebrated his birthday on November 13. He's in Canada. And of course, belated birthday to Avian Saucy Latif, who's celebrated her birthday on Monday. Of course, she's in Carnival country, and that's Trinidad and Tobago. So let's tell you that in the news tonight, the West Indies won their first ODI against New Zealand. And tonight, actually, just after this program conclude, they play their second match. They chased down, they lost their first match. I'm getting you all excited. New Zealand made 267 and West Indies made 262 for 6. In that innings, Rutherford returned to somewhat form. He made a spanking 52. And the next one after tonight, the last one, is on Friday. So West Indies got to win tonight to level the series with any hope of winning it on Friday. The third test The three-test series starts on December 1 to 22nd. There's a warm-up match just before the first test in New Zealand. And, of course, the regional Super 50, that starts on Wednesday. And Guyana playing Jamaica at Port of Spain. Leeward Islands playing Windward Islands, and All Islands clash at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. And Trinidad playing Barbados. That's in the first round of the regional Super 50 that starts on Thursday, and that's going to be played in Trinidad. All right, the West Indies under 19, well, they won their first match, and their second match, that's going to be on tomorrow at 9:30 in Grenada. The captain, he made 80 odd, and Guyanese Van Lang made 52. 1-0 it is after the first match. The second match will schedule to start tomorrow at 9:30 in the beautiful island of Grenada. Good evening to you, Vernon. Good evening to Basil. And let's talk first about tonight's match. Hello?
Good evening, Sean. Good evening, Vernon. Good evening to your listeners and viewers, Sean. I think tonight's match, if West Indies can make the key winning plays in the key moments, they can cross the line. New Zealand, from a New Zealand perspective, they have lost their best batsman for the rest of the ODI series in Darryl Mitchell. So that can be an advantage, a slight advantage to West Indies, because Mitchell is their crisis man. So other guys in the New Zealand team will really have to step up to fill the void, because he was a centurion. He was the guy that crafted that inning in the first game. We're playing on a very small ground today. So it's going to be high-scoring ground. So it'll be interesting how we go about batting. The last time we were batting like a test match, and previously in the T20 we came out with guns blazing without almost no thought process in the batting. So let's see what they're going to do today.
All right, well, in the first match, we saw Rutherford getting back to form, but unfortunately, arguably our best all-formats batter, Shai Hope, didn't get among the runs as he would have liked to. And it's always now when Shai Hope fails, West Indies lose. We saw him get some support this time from Rutherford, who had a miserable past 6 or 7 innings. Now we need them to come good as a collective unit. And as you said, the big bats out of the New Zealand side because of injury. And our bowling was reasonable, our fielding was not bad, but we've got to learn to get inside the minds of the West Indian batters. Tell them to find the gaps. Don't face so many dot balls. You don't have to look for 6s and 4s all the time. So that's what we have to do. Vernon, how do you see the match last night, the first match, and today's match? Because it's the day in New Zealand, tonight in Guyana, and the West.
Well, let me thanks again, Sean, for getting an opportunity to be on your program and sharing the spotlight with Basil Butcher Jr. The big word is consistency. So I think West Indians supporters are almost praying that we could be consistent, where we can win a game consistently, back to back. Not just win one game and then you just lose another game and then you win another one or then you just lose. You sort of fall away. And I keep hearing the captain talking about, the batters have to get us across the line or whatever. I think the captain needs to change his approach in terms of batting, and I say that on the backdrop of, let's look at some of our former players, and sometimes you have to go back. if Clive Lloyd and Viv Richards and those guys was concentrating on averages, they would have so many remarkable averages. But their concept was to make sure that they're going to win the game for the West Indies. So whatever it took, it was their making a dominant approach to figure out whether it was a quick fire 70 odd or quick fire 80 something. I think the West Indies captain operates in a mood where he's just very conservative. And I say that because even in the T20 series, you can't try to bring anything down to the last over. If you look at most of the world-class players, when they step on you, they step on you. And when they don't leave any room to say, well, we're going to leave it for Basil Butcher, we're going to leave it for Sean. And that is what I want to see the captain really moving for. I think sometimes he puts a lot of pressure on himself. And maybe it's the concept of what is in the dressing room, where if the team loses and he was not part of it, it will be maybe like an indictment because people expect the captain to take the team across the line, rather than collectively the team just deciding, boy, we're just going to go there. When you look into the team right now, we do not have somebody like a Rovman Powell consistently who could come and take the attack away from you in a very quick time. Rutherford himself, I just feel, Sean and Basil, he's not watching the ball long enough. And he's trying to hit the ball too hard. If you make proper contact with the bats that you have these days, the ball is going to go. But every time you see Rutherford line up, his body alignment is sort of off. So sometimes when he doesn't make connection, it just looks, you don't want to say ugly, but he just loses his shape because I don't think he watches the ball long enough. One of the things I feel that can help him, when he gets a chance, he maybe needs to play golf, because at least when you're playing golf, the ball is smaller. So by the time he comes to play watching a 5.5 ounce ball, he'll be able to know that keeping his head and his eyes a lot longer on the ball. That's my contribution.
All right.
But,
Do you
Varner?
think that the absence of Mitchell tonight, well, today in New Zealand, will have a big impact in this game?
No.
Well, a lot of players. Sorry, Basil, quickly.
All right.
When you don't have a Seifert and you don't have a Mitchell, I mean that's almost the cream of the crop of New Zealand batting. But barring and saying that, you can't take anything away from New Zealand. New Zealand sometimes just have a way out to win. And tonight is going to be how well the West Indies hold their nerve. I still want to see them improve on their feeling. I just think that we don't look like a feeling team. You know, we West Indians look like they can't feel anymore. And I'm very disappointed sometimes when I'm looking at the television, you know, the little dolly catches that we're dropping. We're natural athletes. We have to catch the ball. We got to look like we want to win. You lose games, Sean, when you don't feel well. You see New Zealand, they're always on you. They don't give you a break. They're always on you. So you got to be second guessing yourself. That's why the West Indian batters, what you see when they hit the ball in the deep. There's hesitation. There's no positivity as if like, yes, 2 runs. Simply because they're not confident.
Yeah. Basil, you were going to make a point?
Yeah, well, I wanted to say when you asked a question about Mitchell, that remember Ravindra has not struck as of yet thus far in any of these series that we know that the type of player Ravindra can be. So maybe we could see him stepping up in this match. The other thing too I want to add is that what the New Zealanders have shown, which we all know, the inability of West Indian batters to play good short bowling, and they've really put our batters in some very interesting positions when they get short bowling, and thirdly, to piggyback on what Vernon was talking about Rutherford, I would also add Rutherford may need to also play red ball cricket because the ball moves. And when the ball moves, you have to keep your eyes on the ball, right? More so than in the white ball game where the ball just stands up. And that's probably one of the areas where he may be having some difficulty in New Zealand because the the ball moves around in New Zealand more than generally any other place that you would play one-day cricket. Another person I would like to add in terms of when you talk about losing shape is Mr. Shepherd. I mean, Mr. Shepherd has played some innings, but I think Mr. Shepherd needs to put himself in the mind of being a batsman and not a hitter. Because in that last match, I will say this. You got these 2 balls that you're down to 2 balls, 9 runs to win. You in that situation, a slower ball is an option by the bowler. And I would have liked Shepherd to be sitting on the slower ball because you could still react if the ball was faster. You can't react if the ball's slower. But he played for the faster ball and played nothing but win.
Yes, and also the batting up front was a bit too slow, left too much at the back end.
Yes.
And when you've got 4 wickets left and 5 overs to go or 3 overs to go, and you get closer and closer, you're supposed to win with 4 wickets left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as Vernon said earlier, the hitting the ball in the gaps. That game was a microcosm of our inability playing the ball in the gap, because that was a field that had a lot of space. That was a field you could, if you hit the ball in the right area, you could have probably run 4 runs, especially on the side with the 85-yard boundary, right? And there were too many dot balls. I mean, I looked again today at Atenes and Carty, and one of them his strike rate was 47, the other one was 52. And one faced 60-something balls. Between the two of them, they faced 125 balls. Now, there's almost half the balls you can face in a 300-ball match. That is really putting a lot of pressure on the other batters.
Well, let me say this quickly, Basil. Sean, just permit me to just quickly say this with Basil. We both are coaches, Basil.
Mm-hmm.
We are taught at an early age. Sean played some cricket, but you're taught at an early age that if Sean is going to bowl to you, Sean is coming in to bowl to you. You look to hit the ball where Sean has just bowled it. So Sean coming in from the northern end, and he's bowling straight to you. You want to look to hit the ball down the ground. And you hear people be saying, hit the ball up the V. West Indian batters are going across the line of the ball, Basil.
Yeah. Yes.
And so that is the problem that they're ending up in. You can take the same ball, Basil, and hit the ball on the ground and get a single. How many feet down that long on and long off? If you check the analysis of when the West Indian batters are batting, how many balls are scored down the ground? Except when everybody's still looking to hit the ball over mid-wicket. They're sweeping. What are you sweeping? This is the first time I've seen people sweeping balls that are bowled straight at your stumps. And when you're getting out, you're getting caught at the backward square. So you're not even trying to sweep.
And Vernon, in that match, sweeping would not have been one of the more ideal shots because the square boundary was so big. So hit the ball. And the other thing where you're talking about hitting the ball down the ground too, the thing with the players today, they don't get close to the ball. That's something that is out of the books, right?
But Basil, you only can get close to the ball if your head is the heaviest on your body. So you have to lead with your head.
I'll give you the example. Sir Viv got close to the ball that he could hit the ball bowl on the offside and hit it through the onside because he was so close to the ball. And this is something that these current players don't seem to understand. The closer you get to the ball, you can access more areas in the ground, right? Based on where the gaps are. But the way these guys play the game today, they move their front foot out of the way, and it's all hands.
But that comes from preparation.
Yes,
Basil.
of course.
You go to some of the practices, right, Basil? What are they practicing?
hitting it just
They
like
to take on Sean between me to hit Sean how far they can out the net.
Yes.
Rather than that is where the problem is, Sean.
So, do you feel that tonight's smaller ground would be advantageous to the West Indies style of batting?
it could be, because even some of the top edges can go to 6 with that small ground. It's a high scoring ground, but I think the difference in this game is going to be which bowling attack is more consistent, because the margin of error is going to be less on a small ground like this, and it's which bowling attack is going to be more consistent in bowling to their field, etc. It's going to be the team that's going to win, in my view.
Vernon, as a coach, you think that there are not many, if any, West Indian batsmen, maybe Shai Hope to some extent, that uses their feet consistently to the spinners. Do you think it's confidence, fear, or lack of ability to do that?
Well, it's about preparation, Sean. You know, if you don't have confidence coming into the game, you just can't come into the game, Sean, and begin to use your feet if you have not mastered that, you know. And you have always known that if Sean Devers is a spinner, you don't allow the ball to drop on the surface. You try and see if you can get, and just as Basil was saying, you look and you see what's happening, and you try and get as close as possible to the ball so you can hit the ball on the full. You've been taught that at an early age. So I'm saying, we can't blame Darren Sammy, we can't blame Floyd Reefer, we can't blame no coaches. The players themselves have to put in the work. So when the data analyst comes, right, and he says, you've been getting out to an outswinger, you've been getting, your defense is not tight enough the last 4 or 5 innings, you've been getting out ball. What do you do when you go back to practice? Don't you go and work on your defense? Basil was talking about the extra pace. I was looking at the West Indies under 19, and congratulations to them for winning the first game. Zachary Carter, big young guy from Barbados, left-hander. He's batting at number 3. So I see them moving from the top of the order to number 3. And the England fast bowler, just like what Basil said, started to rush him and hit him in his ribs. Now I'm saying since when I saw him against Sri Lanka, he does not move his left foot for opening batsman. When you're opening batsman, you got to go back on a cross. It's not like the flat pitches where you're playing in maybe sink kits or in the nets where you can just stand up there and because you're tall, you can just hit to the line. You're going to need extra pace. Somebody like Basil who's got some extra pace, I'm going to push you back on your back foot. The young England seamers, they tested him, right? Simply because his left foot is just planted. He just picks up his left foot and he's just looking to just fire. Now, a simple adjustment for him to do is just move his left foot back into the crease so he can pick up the length of the ball, which will become a lot more easy for him. Now, has somebody spotted that, Basil, and is working on that to help the young guy?
Well, that would be why they have coaches. The coaches and the analysts point that out to him, and that would be something he will look into make adjustment in between games. You know, look, our batters have been very poor against short pitch bowling, and this has been going on for years. And are they preparing themselves when they're away from playing international cricket, etc., to be better against short pitch bowling, so that no longer becomes an area that you could wholesale go against West Indian batters? I would say no, because I don't see an improvement in them faring against it. And the New Zealanders, particularly in this last game, really went after our batters with the short ball, and they were they had the odd ones they got away with, but for the most part, none of them was confident playing the short ball.
Sean, that is why Shane Darvish retired from first class cricket.
Yes.
I remember
we just have to use a perfect example. That Shane Darvish was exposed to what you're talking about, Basil.
I remember a little while ago, Pakistan came to play the West Indies, and in those days you had the regional teams playing them. And they played a match at GDF ground. And I remember there was a wall, maybe you know about this, Basil, where's the squash court, there's a wall. and they used a bumper ball and both short balls to the Pakistanis, teaching them to hook and cut. And an excuse for the batters nowadays. The pitches don't give you the bunks or the true bunks to be able to cut and pull. Gone are the days when Gordon Greenwich and those batters were good pullers, good cutters, good hookers because of the types of pitches, especially Barbados and Jamaica. But the pitches now are all the same. After the World Cup, the last World Cup, they made all the pitches all the same.
But Sean, a pitch doesn't have anything to do with somebody bowling fast enough.
No.
That's really no excuse. Hear me out, Sean. In modern day cricket right now, almost every international player has a bowling machine. And I can talk for somebody like Azari Joseph. When Azari Joseph just got into the West Indies team, the first thing he did was build almost like a semi-pitch in his yard and bought a bowling machine.
Okay.
The point what Basil is saying is, let's look at Kohli. I think I'm trying to remember the series when Kohli went to Australia and he got bounced out. Kohli went back home. In fact, he came to Antigua during that period of time there, and I remember the coaches, they skinned the wind balls.
Yeah.
And Kohli was batting at least about maybe 10 meters. And guys were just hurling down the ball out of the bowling machine. And Kohli was hooking consistently. Basil was making a point because I'm around the West Indies team sometimes when they come to Antigua. Sometimes when you go to a net practice, people can't bowl bouncers.
No.
In the nets.
They complain. No, all short bowling. But you gotta face it in the match. Right? You would hear, we need practice. Well, you gotta practice playing against short bowling. But Sean, I would add to this issue with the short bowling, not inability in the West Indian batters today, I think is an environmental thing. When you look at it. In bygone eras, if you playing, you could face 4 or 5 short balls in an over.
Yeah, but now it's limited to 2.
It's limited. So I give you a personal experience. At 14 years old, I going out to try to play, start to play club cricket, right? And I gone and practice with the Case Cup team. And we used to practice on the basketball court in Linden. So the very first ball I faced, fast ball, a guy named Arby Kwamino. Went to same high school, but he was way ahead of me. And he bowled me up bumper on the tarmac. And he jumped the crease. I was able to sway out of the way. But you know what the message was there to me? This is big mark cricket, Butch. And if you want to play here, this is what you got to deal with. Right? So I had to make a decision. If I want to play cricket serious, I gotta be able to hook or get out of the way when somebody bowls short to me. Right? So you had to go through that gauntlet. Going through just from club cricket. And the other thing, as you would know, Sean and Vernon, you had to develop guts.
Yes.
Because part of playing fast bowling is not only just technique, it's the actual guts for you to be able to stand and get close to a ball coming at 90 miles and make a decision, a split-second decision, whether you're going to play or get out of the way. Because guys don't see as much short bowling in their formative years, they do not practice against it, etc. So as a result, the skill would go down the line. And look and you're talking about the pitches, but Sean, not all pitches in the Caribbean, as we would know, were not bouncy. And look at a place like Guyana. We had a lot of good hookers come from Guyana, and we were not a place where the pitches was bouncing and so on and so forth. Right? You go down all the good players.
Roy Fredericks, Andrew Light, all of them.
The good players that came out of Guyana could hook with the best. But they didn't grow up on the bouncy pitches like in Barbados. But they practiced against short pitch bowling. So there were
grounds at club level like GDF and so on that were fast.
Yes. Police ground was another ground that had good bounce and pace. So that's what I'm saying to you, is the formative years as you're coming through from the grassroots cricket, club cricket, etc., is where you develop these skills and develop the heart to bat against fast bowling.
And so you can't blame the coach totally when you go to the
No,
higher
no,
level and you
no.
don't have the technique, and he's got to
No.
teach you how to hold a bat, which
No,
when you run in,
Sean.
which side to hold it, and those basic things.
Sean, let me give you another example. When I was a kid, I'm about 8, 9 years old. We used to get these, I can't remember the name of the book. It was a British magazine or something. But in that magazine, Jeff Boycott used to give a coaching tip. Mm-hmm. So one of the magazines or the thing, I had it laying on our couch in our living room. And my dad picked it up and he saw the thing with Boycott, showing you talking about the processes to play short bowling. And he called me, said, "You read this?" I said, "Yes." He said, "What Mr. Boycott said here is exactly what you have to do, skipper." Right? So, right there, Robin Singh. I worked with Robin Singh when he was U.S. coach, right? I used to work in the setup as the physio, etc. And Robin told me when he played for India, and every time they were going to either Australia or South Africa, he would prepare on the hard surface, the tarmac or whatever we call it, and he would wet it and then have the bowlers bowl at him from about 15 yards. Seamers, short, everything, right? So he was getting himself geared up because that's what he was going to face. I would love to ask if any of our players do anything close to that in their preparation.
And these players now are more financially able to get bowling machines and all of these fancy equipment, and they don't.
Oh, yes.
Most of them don't. Anyway, let's take a break for commercial sake, and then we'll be right back.
Surprise your family today with a nice vanilla flavored cake made with Maid Marian cake flour. It's perfect for the birthday, anniversary, special occasion, or just celebrating the joy of having your family together. So get a pack or two of Maid Marian cake flour to make that moist, fluffy, vanilla flavored sponge cake, donut shaped cakes, Swiss rolls, and other delicious baked goods. Bring on the smiles with Maid Marian cake flour. Made and packaged not by hand by Nomilco, the National Milling Company of Guyana.
National Milling Company of Guyana.
Attention seafood suppliers, Dave's, the largest purchaser of fresh fish from Guyana, is interested in buying from you. Dave's deeply cares about bolstering the local economy and is looking to begin business with an eager seller of fresh fish and agro products. Dave's needs a constant supply of snapper, butterfish, bangameri, bundari crab, sheriga crab, white belly shrimp, bon carilo, edo, saijambaji, and more. Contact Dave's West Indian Imports at 21 Middle Street, Viceless, East Coast, Demerara. Telephone 501-4087 or 644-8999. Dave's will purchase.
Craving a meal that's big on flavor but doesn't break the bank? KFC has got you covered with the KFC 3-piece meal deal. Get 3 pieces of chicken, fries, mac and cheese, a biscuit, and a drink. All for just $2,200. It's the perfect deal, available every day. Enjoy your 3-piece meal deal at KFC today. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Looking for quality lumber for your dream home or an upcoming project? Then make Builders Lumberyard your premier provider. We provide a full selection of rough and dress lumber, such as Green Heart, Purple Heart, Kabakali, all types of mixed hardwood, Silver Bali, Ditarma, and many other species. We also stock clean and knotted pine doors in various sizes, Qualable posts, farm boards, plywood, and all types of molding. Orders can be cut to any specification and delivered to your worksite. With over 25 years of experience in the lumber industry, we are determined to provide a quality lumber that meets our home builders and contractors' every need. Builders Lumberyard and you will always be a winning combination. Visit our main office at 12 Lombard and Deroy Street or our branch office at 66 Ben Street, Georgetown, or telephone 225-9530 227-0904.
Well, welcome back to the final lap of the show. It's halfway gone, less than halfway. 8 8:36 on the clock after the hour of 8 o'clock. Remember, tonight the West Indies play New Zealand in the second ODI. We're talking about short pitch bowling, and we are going now to look at the regional first class. When you talk about short pitch bowling, I remembered the issues with the emerging player from the CPL when he played short pitch bowling. That is Quinton Sampson, but he's not in this team. Of course, Guyana are playing a very, very depleted team, not by choice, but they're forced to Rutherford, Hetmeyer, even Ned Shepherd, and Quinton Sampson. They opted to play in a 10-10 in Abu Dhabi, and that goes right across the Caribbean, because when we look at the CPL, all the big players from Trinidad played. We call them the senior players, the veteran team, and they did quite well. But now all of those players are gone to the 10-10 leagues. Imagine that, not even 2020. And we're left now with a reduced pool to pick from, and it's going to be a watered down regional Super 50. But Sarwan is saying that it gives the youngsters a chance to prove their worth. What do you think of that?
Sean, there were some surprises for me on the Guyana team. And firstly, let me remember to compliment Vernon. I have watched Vernon's on two podcasts. They're talking about Leeward Islands cricket. I got a very good education on Leeward Island cricket on the Karen Powell podcast. And Vernon has listed a lot of things, and some of the complaints that I will have now, Vernon was doing that regarding the selection of the Leeward Islands team that's going to play. I was surprised that Thorne did not get into the squad. They picked Tyndall, and Tyndall didn't bowl a single ball in the inter-county game. So I found that somewhat odd that Thorne would not be in there. And these young players, it'll be interesting to see which one of these guys, because it's the wannabes going to be playing against the wannabes for the most part here in this tournament, right? It's almost going to feel like the breakout league, because a lot of these guys that will be playing there are very young, inexperienced in this tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how they go against their counterparts from the various territories. I know Vernon could have a lot to say about the Leeward Islands, because Walsh Jr., that was a big surprise to me, that Walsh Jr. was not selected, especially they're going to Trinidad and Tobago to play. And one of the things that the spinners in Leeward Islands team, and Darren Vernon could correct me, are young guys in terms of regional cricket. And it would behoove that you get a guy that has been around the circuit to be there with them in the dressing room to help to guide them through this process. And if memory serves me correct, last year, Walsh Jr. had a very good tournament.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Joel Andrews, and I'm going to keep an eye on him. I hope he produces the runs this year. He's already the youngest player ever to play a one-day match for West Indies, and he's got tremendous talent, but he's got to step it up at the higher level and get runs, or look like he's able to do that.
But Sean, in fairness to Joel Andrew, and I'm not trying to defend anybody here, Joel Andrew has not been given a proper long run.
I agree with that, yeah.
Right? So I think it is unfair for us to be able to say he got to make runs at the level. If you check the times that he's played for the West Indies team, you would see that it is just like short-lived. I mean, we went to Scotland, Ireland, where he was expected to play. He didn't play, and just as what Basil Butcher said, nobody wanted to go and face the music in England, and he was made a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, correct.
That is what we did to young Joel Andrew, right? while we shelter other people. So we take up this 17-year-old. Look what we have done. We just discarded Joel Anjo. He has not done anything for the West Indies yet, but you just discard him. So how do you invest in a 17-year-old who hasn't got to play properly and just kick him out? Secondly, Sean, what are we doing with Isaiah Thorne? If Guyana don't want Isaiah Thorne, send the guy either to the leewards, to windwards, to somewhere else. But we cannot be hampering the growth of this young man. We do not have any fast bowler, Sean, in the Caribbean. Here was this young guy, Isaiah Thorne, who rocked up Ireland in Antigua in a series. We took the young man to England, and then all of a sudden, somebody said that they want him back home. So he had to come back from England to come home for a Super 50, didn't get a game. Since then, we're tossing him around like a football. He's not even around the West Indies setup. He's better than Lane. But the reason why he's not getting an opportunity to show his skills is because we're not picking him. And there has to be something personal. Why we're treating the young man like that?
I think he's has to work a bit on his fitness.
No fitness, Sean.
Yeah,
There's excuses.
In the intercounty tournament, he looked a bit unfit.
No, he right now, Sean is correct. Right now, I've seen Isaiah play in a couple of games in his county, and he look like he has put on some weight. Yeah. Right?
But Basil.
Let me just say this about Isaiah.
Hold on there, Basil.
Let me say this about Isaiah Vernon.
Where you think that happening, Basil?
No, well, let me just say this, Vernon. When he went up to England last year, right? We all thought that this guy, they were doing with him similar to what they did with Seals. You remember when they took Seals to New Zealand and he spent the series there, getting acclimated, being around. He was a developmental player, if you will, on that tour when we last went to New Zealand. So Thorne returns back to the Caribbean because I happen to be in Barbados, right? When he comes back to the Caribbean, comes to Barbados, because I went to see a club match, and Kevin Wickham is the one who told me that Thorne is back in the region. And I was like, Thorne is back in the region? He said, yeah, he's back in the region. So I called him, and he said he was in Barbados. So I told him where I was, and he came through. So I asked him, and he said to me, Coach, Mr. Butcher, the media put the thing wrong. The email I received from Cricket West Indies was that I was going up to England to participate in the pre-tour, in the pre-series activity practice, and up to the last, they had that warm-up game before the first test. And then I was to return to the Caribbean. And guess what he was returning to the Caribbean to do? Play on the 19 regional cricket. Now, I was like, why you take him to England? In my view, he should have stayed the entire series in England. And what they could have also done, he was already up in England, organized after the series for him to stay on in England and play either club or get him in some second 11 or something in England so he could continue his development for that series. So I thought it was very short-sighted in what they did with him. Next thing, Guyana, I have some criticism with how they've been dealing with Thorne. Thorne was in the breakout league. Guyana did not play a single game in the breakout league. Guyana is out of the runnings, and still he does not get a game, right? This guy, a few years ago, was our brightest fast bowling prospect. And it's these kinds of actions could frustrate a youngster, because not everybody got the same mental strength. Because I've known of guys who were supremely talented on the 19 players, and when they didn't get the break to the senior level, they quit the game.
The same can be said of Niall Smith.
Yeah, Niall Smith, this is a guy, because he has of his fitness woes. In my view, if Niall Smith fitness was up to where it's supposed to be, he should be on the team going to New Zealand, right? Those conditions would suit Niall Smith perfectly, and he got good pace, right? But Niall Smith has never been a person to really work on his fitness, and every time he continues to break down. And now a lot of guys have gone past Niall Smith when he was way ahead of all of
Yeah.
them a few years ago.
I remember in 1987 when Bishop had the last year to play under 19, he decided to go to play in a league in England and forfeit his last year in under 19. That's when I played
Right.
my first year. We were in Trinidad, and he said to look out for a guy named Brian Lara. But he wasn't on the team. He could have been. But he decided not to play this last year, and development is more important than playing on the 19 because he's
Yeah.
done already well in on the 19. He went to England.
Yeah, I mean, Torn is another case. Go ahead, Vernon.
So, Basil and Sean, it bemuses me as to how the franchises operate with young players and the focus, and how we expect people to. We have people wrong who really somewhat don't understand the cricket and can't spot talent. Now, I can't tell anybody what sort of system they're looking for and who to play. But I'm saying if Cricket West Indies makes an investment in Basil Butcher Jr., you would think that, boy, this man has some credibility. And let's look at the Leeward setup. The Leeward has got a young man named Kelvin Pittman, who is almost on the verge. He's not far. If we saw him within the last year, you'd seen him, the quartet between Lane, Pittman, those guys there. There's a set of young guys there.
In the academy.
In the academy setup. And that is why I was saying, Basil, Guyana, if they know that they didn't want the young guy, Isaiah Thorne, should have sent him back to the academy. Because at least he would have been playing cricket. I almost feel the same way for young Naeem Young. Naeem Young came out to the academy setup and was supposed to be dubbed to be the next Dwayne Bravo. Never got that opportunity based on when you go back to Barbados and the caliber in terms of what's happening. So sometimes we try to see if we can knock the academy and saying, well, they got a couple of the guys them around a long time. The issue, Basil, is when these guys go back to the franchises, nobody is picking these guys. So it is going to become a frustration. So I am saying, Basil, we have to find a system that when you have your first team, everybody's home. When you have emerging players, whether you're going to call it the franchise A team or emerging team or whatever. So guys like Torn and them, even if they're not playing for Guyana in a shortened tournament, they can play second team cricket.
Well,
I'll
tell you a little story about Dindial, Mahendra Dindial. He was not picked for the intercounty because of some internal politics with the cricket board and GCC, not with the players.
Yes.
And because the West Indies cricket board, Cricket West Indies, invested in him and gave him an academy contract, they called the cricket board, allegedly, and told them they had to pick him because if he doesn't play intercounty, then he'll not be picked for Guyana, and then how he'll be picked for West Indies. He was an investment, and they knocked out a guy named Sachin Singh, and he wasn't even in the rest team, and replaced him with Dindial, and now Dindial is in the Guyana team.
Let me give you a scenario here, Vernon and Sean, and to your viewers. Well, Sean, I was saying that maybe we also need to have a second 11, a second 11, like somewhat similar to what they have in England. But on top of that, like what Vernon was talking about, where guys not getting picked, the Naeem Youngs, etc. West Indies board, I think, need to facilitate to get those guys to other parts of the world, i.e. Australia, i.e. England, to play cricket so they could continue development. Because what that will help those players, because we all understand our cricket system don't produce international cricketers of quality like it did in the past. So therefore you got to expose our more talented youngsters to systems that have that ability to do so. So it would behoove that we get our guys to Australia, even South Africa, in this time of the year, and to England, strategically placed. And that is something we have to aggressively pursue if we're going to give these guys the opportunities to play red ball cricket, etc., in conditions away from home and so on, so that when they would return back to their respective territories from those kinds of stints and they go and start playing with the guys, you would see a player of greater ability and skill that the local selectors will have no choice but to put them in the teams of the respective territories.
Yes, I totally agree with that 100%. Of course, we don't play enough cricket, club cricket. In every country, maybe apart from Barbados, red ball cricket is not being played as it should. We've reduced the 3-day for a division tournament to 2 days now. And teams are getting bowled out twice in 2 days. They're batting like 2020.
Sean, very quickly, I just want to make a point where Basil is on. And I want us to look at the Super 50 because one of the things, Basil, that I was pretty much concerned about, Basil, over the years, the regional Super 50, since we have had the inception of the professional setup. We know that the championship has, and this started back in 2014.
Yeah.
So we're going into the 11th year after we would have missed 2020 due to COVID. Now, Trinidad and Tobago has won 4 championships, Barbados 2, Jamaica 1, Windward Islands 1, West Indies Emerging Championship 1, and Combined Campuses and Colleges 1. Guyana and the Leeward Islands.
And Guyana and Leeward are the ones of futility.
are the ones who are suffering and suffering bad. But what I wanted to look at, Basil, was the centuries that have been scored and how weak the batting has been in our Super 50 competition. The first couple of years, Basil, only 3 centuries were scored. Johnson Charles, I think, scored the first century. 3 were scored in the first couple of years. Then we marched on to 2017, 2018. I think we would have had 16 in that year. 2018, 2019, 8. 2020, 2022, 2023, 7. 2023, 2024, 7 again. And in the 2024 Super 15, which was dominated by Amir Django, who scored 446 runs, and Justin Graves, who scored 300. We had 10 centuries that year, right? Now, the point that I'm making is people like Jason Mohammed and company have dominated that. The first year, Sean and Basil Butcher, 2014, 2015, we had 3 centuries. 2015, 2016, 3. 2016, 2017, 11. Then we moved to 2017, 2018, we had 16. I think that easily was one of the best years. Along with
top year, that's a top year.
Yeah, you had 17, right? And then you got on to 11. And like I said, you got 7. So when you look at the players who scored hundreds, the Jason Mohammed is coming back for Trinidad and Tobago. He's been a dominant fixture for Trinidad and Tobago, and he scores 100. So you can't take your eyes off of a Trinidad team, right? The tournament is being played in Trinidad. You know what we're going to get? You can't take your eyes again off of Barbados neither. So although some of the big players are not really around, we're going to have some young emerging stars. My concern will be what kind of quality that we're going to see, right?
Yes.
When I say quality, that is going
to
be
standard of cricket. The standard of the cricket. The
yes.
standard of the cricket, yes.
Right, in terms of the improvement, because it's all well, I know Sean beats up on Guyana. Guyana has not won the championship.
Yes.
People in Trinidad beat up on Trinidad for Trinidad not winning the championship either.
Yes.
Right? Because there was like a model of white ball cricket and they've not dominated white ball cricket. They've struggled. Right? Except this year they wasn't too bad. But the point what I'm saying is that I am concerned about the batting in terms of players making 100. If you can't make 100, Basil, at this level, then we can't expect you to make 100 when you go to play for the West Indies team. It's just not going to happen like that.
No. And Vernon, I would say this. I had a conversation with a former West Indies player a couple weeks ago. And he was telling me that he pays close attention to the cricket in the region. Everything that's on YouTube, he tunes in. And he said something to me very interesting. He said he doesn't gauge West Indies cricket based on the fortunes of the international team. He gauges it is that when he turn on his YouTube and he looking at domestic cricket, the standard of that cricket. And when he said, when I see that standard elevate to what he remembered as a youngster coming through, that's when he says he's going to feel West Indies cricket has turned the corner. So, like, that's what I'm saying this to echo Vernon's point that I'm just like that former player. I look at our regional cricket to see the standards and who is coming through, right? And until I see those standards improving measurably at the domestic level, I mean, like Sean, from a Guyanese perspective, I turn on that inter-county. It's an abomination.
Yep.
It's an abomination. I mean, I will say this without fear of being contradicted. Most of those guys that play in that in that inter-county could not make a good Case Cup team in the 70s. Right?
And there were a couple of test players also came back. Tejan Ryan Chandrapal, he played for he captained the rest team. He only made 15. He should have come down and made a big score in those kind of matches.
I agree.
But the problem is even greater, Sean, quickly before we wrap up here, Basil. We're not producing any fast bowlers in the Caribbean. The mecca of fast bowling, Barbados. Who is the fastest bowler in Barbados?
McAllister.
Thank you. Let's look at the youth. Let's look at the youth levels, Sean. The West Indies under 19. Who is bowling fast?
Nobody.
We have the youngsters bowling medium pace.
Yeah, Van Lang is bowling slow medium and he's bowling bouncers.
But Van Lang shouldn't be bowling.
No.
Van Lang should be used as a batting all-rounder.
Yeah. Well, he is a batting all-rounder, but I think he's batting too low.
He should be bowling.
I think so too. I think Van Lang is what we would call a military medium.
Yeah,
man.
but he's more of a batter.
Yes.
Yeah, but outside of that, Basil, let's look at Lane. Lane is supposed to be bowling. Lane, like he's even struggling to bowl a bouncer.
Yep.
Because it looks as if we're changing everybody, Basil, and we want everybody to be military medium.
Sarandi has lamented about this on many occasions in conversations with him about the paucity of fast bowlers in the region and the lack of encouraging young players to bowl fast, right? And he would love to go on a crusade to resurrect, to encourage people to bowl fast.
The father of West Indian fast bowlers. This is all we've got time for tonight. Time is flying by so very quickly. We're almost at Christmas. I want to say once again, happy belated birthday to Saucy from Trinidad and Tobago, Avian Latif. I'll see you soon in Trinidad. Stay well. And any quick closing remarks?
Quick closing remark. I have to repeat what Vernon wants to you, Sean. You got to get a little extra half hour.
Yeah.
Because these conversations always get truncated.
You know Claude St. John?
Especially when me and Vernon is on. The conversations start to get good and then we have to cut off.
There's a guy named Claude St. John. He played for Guyana. He's a great coach. He's an old man. He's at every match you see. And he told me the same thing. You got to get
Mr. St.
more
John
time.
is on. He is right on point.
And he's listening. Good evening to you, Mr. St. John.
Good evening to you, Mr. St. John.
But he's listening on the radio.
Sean, and I don't want anybody to penalize you, but when you bring me back on the next time with Basil, I am batting for Mally Richards. I cannot understand how we have all sorts of broadcasts happening around the world.
I would like to echo that when you finish quickly.
And we're not using the voice of Mally Richards. I think it is insular. And whoever is blocking the young man, we need to stop that.
Look, Vernon.
Well, I've worked with Mali and he's very competent. He understands cricket, his vocabulary is up to the mark, and he's a boss.
Look, I had the conversation with Sir Viv in Florida, and I said to Sir Viv, Mali is and you know what Sir Viv said to me? You know the reason why they giving you opportunity? Because he's my son. I mean, you would expect the opposite, right? I can't know West Indies cricket son would get opportunities, but for the politics in the Caribbean, Sir Viv, that's what Sir Viv said to me.
All right, my producer is saying we've got to go. We over our time, and this is all we've got for tonight. I'm Sean Devers, wishing you all the best. If you can be good, then be careful.
Now Milko has done it again. We've listened to you, and now available nationwide. Another convenient size packaging of Thunderbolt all-purpose flour. It's here, the 5 kg or 11 pounds new packaging of Thunderbolt all-purpose flour. Now available at your nearest supermarket.
Now Milko, National Milling Company of Guyana.
Dave's West Indian Imports is a wholesaler of all types of seafood with their own processing plant. Dave supplies supermarkets, restaurants, hotels, and bars. Place your orders now on telephone 501-4087 or 644-8999. With fresh seafood daily, Dave's offers custom cuts of your choice: snapper, trout, banger, gillback, shrimp, crab, and more. Order today. Dave's, Guyana's largest exporter to the USA.
Craving a meal that's big on flavor but doesn't break the bank? KFC has got you covered with the KFC 3-piece meal deal. Get 3 pieces of chicken, fries, mac and cheese, a biscuit, and a drink. All for just $2,200. It's the perfect deal, available every day. Enjoy your 3-piece meal deal at KFC today. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Looking for quality lumber for your dream home or